to the Technical Staff and Theatre Workers podcast. It's the podcast in which I talk to people who work backstage in the technical theatre industry about how they got in, their experiences, and any advice they can give to anyone getting in. This is episode 2 of season 4. A big thank you to everyone who's downloaded the show, everyone who's listening to the show. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know who's interested in theatre and those who aren't interested in theatre, because it might make them interested in theatre. Yes, thank you so much for all the downloads. It's been really good so far, so really enjoying it. And without further ado, let's get on to our next guest. I'm here with my guest at this time. If you'd like to introduce yourself and tell me what your current job title is.
My name is Tyler, and I'm currently head of automation on Starlight Express.
Starlight Express.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. How did you get into theatre?
I got into theatre just because I loved going, I suppose. So I became obsessed with going. I grew up in Norwich, and then maybe from the ages of like 13 to 16, I just became completely obsessed with going to the theatre. So we'd get like 4 brochures a year through in the mail, what was coming to Theatre Royal, and I would tick off what I wanted to see, and it was basically everything. So I would go pretty much every week, even if it was a show like I knew I didn't want to, if I knew I wouldn't really like, I'd still go and see it just because I think, well, how is it done, or what's it going to look like? So I just became completely infatuated with going to the theatre, and I thought, this is what I want to do. I didn't know what at the time or where exactly I wanted to be.
Well, was it more of a you were looking more of a how is it done as opposed to wanting to be on the stage?
No, it was perfectly split. Like, I was ready to be moved by whatever I was seeing, but I was also thinking, how was it done equally?
Yeah.
Like, I was amazed by that. If someone flew in, I was like, where are they coming from? What does it look like above the stage? Where's all the stuff sitting?
Right.
So it's fairly equal. But I had no clue about any of the technical stuff until I started looking at unis, really.
Excellent. And that brings us to the next question. Did you train?
Yes, so I went to Guildhall in the end and did technical theatre. I was very much considering doing like a drama and English degree, and I looked around unis there, and I just thought, this is not really what I want to be in. Like, they're not putting on shows that are... It just doesn't look like the theatre that I like to see.
Right.
So when I went to look around Guildhall and saw some of the snippets of shows they were putting on, I was instantly like, this is exactly what I want to be in.
And that's where the more of the wanting to be in the technical side of it came.
Well, exactly, yeah. I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I just thought this is the best way to get into it as quickly as I can.
Right, yeah.
And I only needed 2 E's.
Right.
You needed 2 passes to get in at sixth form. And I was having a really bad time at sixth form at the time, and I thought, well, this is perfect. Because this is something I'd be really interested in. It doesn't have a massive impact on how I'm able to do my A-levels right now. And I'll be able to work on really interesting shows. On the stage was massive. I just thought, this looks fantastic.
And it gets you away from Norfolk.
There's nothing wrong with Norfolk.
Love Norfolk.
Exactly. That's what I like to hear.
Really
everyone who tours to Norwich says that it's a nice place to tour to.
Yeah,
they're
a nice bunch there. And there's a really nice Mexican in the park next to the theatre.
Oh, I know the exact one
Pedro's.
you mean. It's changed now. It's not Pedro's. It's a hot dog bar or something now. And it might have even changed since then, but I know what you mean.
It was the best. What is your first paid job in theatre?
First paid job was as a emergency Stage LX cover at Jersey Boys after uni. So I didn't do any professional work in theatre until after uni.
Which was when?
I graduated in 2021, so
okay.
I was at the end of COVID, which worked out very well for us all as a year group.
Well, I suppose because a lot of people didn't come back after COVID.
Exactly. So the opportunities were wonderful for us, really, really good.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a job for a few months after I finished, and then just someone asked. I was about to be a waiter in Liverpool Street somewhere, and then a friend kind of came through at the last minute and asked if I was free to do just a couple of weeks of cover on Jersey Boys. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Excellent. So I was straight there.
And any other jobs? Did you go straight from Jersey Boys to Starlight then? Or
No, I did. So I did 3 different jobs at Jersey Boys in the end. Stayed there for almost 2 years.
Right.
And then did Wizard of Oz at the Palladium. And then did pantomime at the Palladium, and then on Starlight Express, and a few dep in between those jobs, a few dep work here and there on various shows.
So what got you from the point of finishing uni to automation? How did you get into the automation side of it?
Just completely by accident, I suppose. So I started off in LX just because I was asked to do it, and it was an easy track, just covering a track. And then I was just covering someone's holiday, and then someone else left, a follow spot left, so I ended up doing follow spotting for a few months, and then the tech swing left, so I became the tech swing for a while.
Right.
I ended up learning about 9 tracks, way more than the tech swings I'd learned before, but I just kept getting asked, do you want to learn this, do you want to learn that? And I was like, yes, absolutely, I'd love to learn that.
A sponge.
Exactly, a real sponge. So I ended up, like, I had a massive folder of all the plots in, and eventually worked my way up to the fly floor, learned the fly plot, and then got asked if I wanted to learn the Autodesk, which I said yes to. And then the head of auto left after maybe a year of doing tech swing. So I was like, I'll apply for that. And got it, and that was that. But I didn't have any particular drive to get there.
Right.
It's just like that's what
came up.
That's what came up. That's what life gave me. And I was just like, yeah, I'd love to give that a go.
Excellent. Have you had any issues that you've come across in your short time in the industry because there can be a lot of, especially being so young and getting so high up in the food chain, as it were, so quickly? Have you had any issues, any people being jealous or anything like that? Have you found?
Yes, well, I mean, somewhat. I found every job has been a massive learning curve for me.
Yeah.
Like, every job has been, like, kind of seemed very overwhelming at the time, at the start, and it's been a massive workload to get my head around it. But I think if you treat people well as you can, and you're kind and you're generous and you're not too full of yourself, you can kind of get by. I've definitely had a bit of that, but if you treat people well, you generally get through things.
Treat people as you wish to be treated.
Do you know what I mean? Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say are the pros and cons of working in the industry?
Well, the pros for me are that I love shows. I love show business. I love being backstage. I love
like it.
There's no business like exactly. But the benefits for me are getting to meet interesting people, talk about the things I love.
Yeah.
Suddenly I can be in a room and all the things that I'm passionate about, everyone else is as well, and you can have a good discussion about things that are on your mind that usually wouldn't be in your normal group of, social group, wherever you're from or whatever. And the cons, obviously, massively, just working hours.
Yeah.
Just in terms of evenings and weekends, not necessarily hours per week.
Yeah.
There are in tech and fit-up periods, but it takes a lot from you. And it ends up being that your entire life gets consumed by theatre, and all your friends, because of the nature of your working hours, become theatre people.
As we've said on the podcast before, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle.
Exactly.
And if you don't treat it like a lifestyle, it can consume you.
Well, exactly. And I think it's a pro and a con at the same time.
And we were talking about, actually, just before we start recording, about the Christmas schedules and how everybody's Christmas schedule is different, but Christmas schedules can be crushing because everybody else's holidays are your busy periods, really. So it's certainly something that you need to keep an eye on. Yeah,
massively. But, if you love it, you'll do it.
Yeah.
And if you live nearby, you'll get lucky. But if you live far away, it can be a real nightmare.
Oh, yes.
Most people can't go home at all for Christmas, which is, luckily I can, swandle back for a day, but that's just, it is what it is.
It is what it is. That's exactly right. What would you say is a common misconception of somebody who's trying to get in the industry? What do they think it is that it's not?
Maybe they think that you need to know everything about everything before you start.
Right.
But I think that if you keep an open heart and try your best with what you're doing at the time, you can get through and get your head around things.
That's an interesting one, actually, because the first production manager I ever worked for, the first thing he said to me was, don't go in thinking you know everything.
Right.
Because nobody knows everything. So everything's to learn. Everyone has to learn every day.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you become very arrogant and then people won't like you, and it's a small industry for people to not like you.
Completely agree. Be humble about the things you don't know about. Don't be afraid to ask, and whatever help anyone's able to give you, just be really grateful for it.
Yeah.
Because people are so willing to help.
Absolutely.
And because of the help people have given me, I'd be really willing to give new people a chance.
Yes.
Because that's what people gave me.
Excellent.
And I didn't know much.
Pay it forward.
Pay it forward, big time, yeah.
Brilliant. And any other advice you can give to people who are trying to get in?
Similarly, I'd just say keep an open heart about things and say yes to as many things as you can. maybe don't even have a really specific idea about where you are and where you want to be. And if you are open to trying anything and trying your best at it, good things will happen just as naturally. Good things will happen naturally. So just keep your heart open and say yes to things and try really hard at them.
Brilliant. And that's everything I've got. So thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Big thank you to Tyler for that one. Enjoyed that one. Interesting to hear a younger person who's got up quite high in the industry quite quickly. Interesting to hear their views on how it all works. And Starlight Express, of course, is in a building that's not conventional theatre, so that's also a very interesting view on things. Thank you so much for listening to this. Thank you so much for downloading it. It's been really great, really loving it so far, and long may it continue. Thank you to all the guests that have been on, and I shall see you all next week.